Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're checking out Remnant from Creative Intent. This is an experimental and reactive grain delay that is designed for experimenting with echoes of sonic fragments through dense soundscapes and sharp glitches. Remnant fills an analog tape-inspired delay line with its input signal, while two independent grain engines operating in parallel draw fragments of sound from the delay line. The two engines feedback both into themselves and into one another, creating concentrated and consistently varying patterns in time and space. All right, everybody. So this is Remnant on the screen, and we're going to jump in and run through all of these different parameters. As I said in the beginning of the video, it is a grain delay effects plugin. It's got a couple of really unique features that I'm going to show you how to use. But before we do that, I just want to show you that it is in fact rescalable, which is always a nice feature to have. So I'm going to make it nice and big, and we can go ahead and jump in. In fact, let me go ahead and solo these chords right here. So those kind of glitchy sounds that are coming in are what Remnant is creating from the chords. If I go ahead and bypass Remnant for a second, these are the original chords, just so you have sort of a reference. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn Remnant back on. Let's jump into the presets here and click default. And this is the default. So that's sort of the grainy delay echo. It's just kind of a really nice glitchy sound. It's using a tape style delay line, so you're gonna get that sort of warmth. There's also a warp control if you wanna add some fluttering. You can really hear it there. Essentially we have two lanes here, and these are two lanes that are apart from one another, but they run in parallel. And this gives us a few different advantages. We can create some really complex patterns or some really nice soundscapes and have a lot more control that you would have if you just had one lane. So the way this works is we have frequency. The names of these lanes, or what these controls do here, are at the bottom, and they apply to both the top and the bottom lanes. So we have frequency, spray, spread, pitch, reverse, and feedback. So if I turn this up and turn this down, in fact, let's go ahead and turn this all the way off. So now we're essentially getting just one. If we turn the mix up here a little bit more. Isn't that crazy? And we can turn up the delays if we want right here with the delay parameter. So as you can see, we're getting some really interesting sounds. And once you can combine that with a whole other parallel line, we can get some really, really crazy stuff. So something like this. And this cutoff right here can be a low pass or a high pass, and you simply switch it by clicking right here. So now I'm going to have a high pass filter instead of a low pass. So these delay lines actually feed back into themselves, and you can get some really long delay tails. And what's really cool is you have this crosstalk feature, which allows some of the delay grains to get fed into the other delay line. And as I said a number of times, these are running in parallel, but you can actually make it so it's mid-side down here. So right now, this is a dedicated mono-centered delay line, and these are spread out to the sides. You can get some really, really cool textures. Let's flip through some of the presets and see what we can't get into here. Okay, so this stop button is very important when the freeze is on. So the freeze down here is going to take a snapshot of whatever grain delay is being triggered and just freeze it, and that will run infinitely. And the stop button is important because if you don't hit stop, you're just going to hear that delay repeat. Let me show you what I mean. So that sort of soundscape there will repeat indefinitely until you either deactivate the plugin inside of your DAW or just hit the stop button, which will stop it. It will clear the cache from memory and you'll be able to have silence again. This freeze function is super cool when it's combined with this envelope function. So if I turn this all the way up and we let these sort of chords play, let's hear what we get. And I've just played it and nothing's happened. And that's because we have freeze on, but there was no audio to freeze, so it's just frozen silence. So if I take that off and we go ahead and play the music again. And because it's 100% wet, we're just gonna get that. But if I pull back down, we just get that frozen soundscape bed behind the chords themselves. But this envelope feature, if I pull it down, it's essentially a threshold. And once the threshold is caused, the freeze function will actually take a snapshot of the newly introduced audio and it will change accordingly. So essentially what we can do here is freeze a part of each one of the chords in their correct pitch every time the threshold is crossed. So this adds a really cool feature. So let's try it out. You can hear the pitch changing. It's just such a cool feature to have. Now, if you want to make it even more musical, I suggest turning on the auto ducking parameter here, and you'll actually hear the initial chords. You know, we're at 50-50, we're at parallel mix right here. So you can actually hear the chords better, and then the delayed grains will actually fade in after. It's actually super cool. Let's listen. And then you have all of the other parameters of Remnant to shape that sound that happens after the chords happen. So you don't have to worry about your chords not lining up with the soundscape that's being generated by the grain delays. It's all going to work very, very well using that envelope control down there at the bottom. Now, having two lanes, we can also make it so one is reversed by using this reverse parameter. And let's see if we can't do that. So this is being pitched up 12 semitones, and let's take it and make it reversed. Or maybe so you can get some really, really cool and experimental sounds with this. And I find, if I go ahead and run this beat with it, you can get some really, really nice elements added to the project. And it's always good to add extra elements from elements of the original project, in my opinion. If you just throw something random in there, it works sometimes. But if you make that randomness be generated from the original source material, it's always going to fit a little bit better. So let's go ahead and just play around for a bit. So anyway, guys, that's a quick look at the brand new glitch delay effect called Remnant by Creative Intent. It's available now on Plugin Boutique. As always, I'm going to leave links in the video description. And I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.